Good morning and welcome everybody to another virtual 1 Million Cups-Bentonville. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are, however you're tuning in, whether it be Facebook Live or YouTube Live. We appreciate you for joining us. My name is Caleb. I'm the Director of Marketing Events at Startup Junkie, also a proud 1 Million Cups Bentonville organizer. For those of you who may not be familiar with 1 Million Cups, it was created on the notion that entrepreneurs discover solutions and engage with their communities over a million cups of coffee. So I hope everybody has their coffee this morning or they're caffeinated. The Kauffman Foundation developed 1 Million Cups in 2012 as a free program designed to educate, engage, and inspire entrepreneurs around the country. And through the power of volunteers, 1 Million Cups has grown to more than 160 communities. So the idea is wherever you go in the country when business travel is a thing again, and you want to plug into the local entrepreneurial scene. I haven't had enough caffeine this morning. You can go to your local 1 Million Cups and kind of plug into that ecosystem. As a program of the Kauffman Foundation, 1 Million Cups works with entrepreneurs, empowering them with the tools and resources to break down barriers that stand in the way of starting and growing their businesses. Today, I'm excited to have a returning presenter, someone who's no stranger to 1 Million Cups, and a active member of our entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Northwest Arkansas, Sierra Polk, excuse me. She's presenting Blackground Agency, a workforce creation firm that offers business development and career readiness, talent retention, and much more. I won't get into all of it because I'll let her introduce you to the agency. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Sierra.
Thank you, Caleb, and to Startup Junkie for and 1 Million Cups for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. As Caleb said, I am not necessarily new to Startup Junkie. I've presented a couple of times, so I'm just excited to be able to do this from my living room. Previously, having the chance to present from an actual venue with other entrepreneurs was definitely something that I appreciated and looked forward to, even though it was at 8 a.m. I'm definitely not a morning person. I usually do not see 8 a.m. So that's how you know I appreciate Startup Junkie for being here right now. But just to kind of give you a background, so Blackground Agency, what we are is a professional development firm who specializes in our goal of building a better workforce for tomorrow. Um, Here are my social media. So our website, blackgroundpro.com, you can check it out. We are very active on Instagram, Facebook, trying to build up more of a Twitter presence, but you can definitely follow us on all the social media. Some of the pictures that you'll see throughout this presentation were captured by me, so that is also a service that we provide within Blackground Agency, but I will get into that more into the presentation. Any questions that come along while I'm kind of giving the spiel, feel free to add them in the chat, and I'll kind of check it, keep an eye on the chat as I'm going through, but Caleb will also pop back in later to share some of those questions. So Blackground Agency is dedicated to creating a more inclusive business and talent workforce, pretty much. That's our overarching goal, and let's kind of get into how we do that. Before we dive too deep into it, let me just kind of share you updating. Hold on. Okay, share with you a little bit of information about myself. My name is Sierra Polk, as I mentioned, founder of Blackground Agency. I was born in Texas, raised in Maryland, in a little city called Salisbury. Shout out to the hometown. I went to an HBCU, historically Black college and university in Maryland, called University of Maryland Eastern Shore. That's the Hawk Pride right there. Definitely catch it. And then once I was at HBCU in Salisbury or in Maryland, I had an opportunity to pursue a four-year undergraduate degree in accounting. While I was at UMES, I also had the chance to intern with Walmart, and that opportunity turned into a full-time position. So I'm no longer with Walmart, which is why you see former Walmartian there. Most people who are in the Walmart world, that's kind of the term that we use. But since leaving Walmart world, I have kind of dived more into the talent and equity space. So more of an inclusion champion in that world, and I'll kind of dive into more of what that looks like. I'm also what I like to refer to as a cultural business curator. So that's really important, and we're going to kind of talk more about that in the presentation. But when all of these businesses and corporations in Northwest Arkansas are looking to recruit talent, and they, you get the new talent here, they do a great job, but they're only here for 18 months, and you can't figure out what that challenge is or what the gap is. That's kind of where we come in. So we curate different business events and experiences for professionals and talent so that they can have the opportunity to get connected with the culture, get connected with the community, and really find their tribe as they relocate and try to build a new life in a new city like Northwest Arkansas. A little bit more about kind of my background. I'm definitely a planner, a creative, a foodie, a traveler. I love to try different foods, love to travel. Of course, that had a little bit of a damper with COVID over the past year, but I'm definitely looking forward to at least safely doing some road trips this year, if nothing else. So one truth and two lies. I kind of switched it up from two truths and one lie. I am, in fact, an only child, and to this day, I hate it. So all of you parents out there with one child, please have more than one for their sake. I do not love to plan weddings, actually. Funny story, when I was in high school, we had our yearly yearbooks produced, and in there, my quote was that I wanted to go to school, get an accounting degree, and become a wedding planner. I hate planning weddings. I'm not necessarily that person because it's just too much chaos going on that day, but I do love planning events and bringing people together. And then the lie here is that I visited 30 states and 10 countries. I've actually only visited 25 states, so I'm halfway there, and I've only visited 6 countries. So definitely looking forward to getting back out there and adding to that list. Okay, next slide. So at Blackground, we specialize in supporting people who are in transition. What that means is it's kind of broad, right? And even the word workforce development is pretty broad. So what that means is that we help people who are in some type of just basically going into some new stage or challenge in their life. So this could be people who were graduating from college and going into the workspace for the first time, especially as a full-time capacity. This could be people who are transitioning from high school and going into college. This could be people who are parents and who are just now getting back into the workspace for a full-time capacity after being home and staying with their children for an extended amount of time, or just different ways that people can kind of re-enter a community or a society or space. So that's a little bit about what we mean when we say transition. I'll definitely dive more into that later. We craft inclusive solutions that have a goal of advancing and preparing professionals of today for a better workforce tomorrow. Right now, we're seeing a lot of conversation around, President Biden and the Democratic Party's focus on workforce development. The U.S. economic development sector just released another initiative on wanting to focus on workforce development. So we're really excited to see a lot of these initiatives, and we're definitely happy to be a part of this. Our goal ultimately is to create more authentic cultural exchanges across all professional scenes. So I know a lot of you, especially if you identify as a person of color, when you're in certain professional and networking scenes, it can feel very stuffy, very forced. So our passion and our work is dedicated to just creating more authentic cultural exchanges in those types of spaces. This work is driven by a need to really just diversify boardrooms and corporate leadership opportunities and entrepreneurship resource groups. And that's one of the things that we are truly passionate about. And the pictures here on the screen, these are pictures from last year's event, Bentonville's first ever Black Business Expo. My agency was a part of planning and bringing this event to life for the Bentonville community. And we had about 30 vendors there. We had over 400 people in attendance. The first time anything like that had ever happened in Bentonville. So seeing that happen kind of validated the space for us, validated this work and the importance of this work. And we really look forward to bringing more events to you throughout the year. Our work was kind of born in an effort to close gaps in settings where talent is often recruited and attracted, but not necessarily invested in. So 6 million people are estimated to graduate from high school and college every year, with another 650,000 who are released from prison every year. These communities are definitely at some point going to become leaders, business owners, contributing members of society. And our work is rooted in making sure that we create spaces, events, and experiences for them and their development, and to really just help them kind of progress and grow and blossom and flourish over time. Unfortunately, many resources that are out there are not dedicated to the needs of this particular group of people, and that's where we come in. So the images here, actually most of the images here, especially where you see this copyright in the corner here, was actually an image captured by me at the Northwest Arkansas Young Professional Summit. So, being in these types of environments where people are networking, connecting with each other, getting access and information to new opportunities and career professional development opportunities is definitely our sweet spot and where you can usually find us. Overall, we are catered to that group, people who are in high school, who are in college, and even people who are in that early season of their professional development goal. We do have quite a few clients that are more in the seasoned professional timeline as well, but this is definitely our sweet spot. So a couple quick stats for you. 56% of the 87 million millennials in the U.S. identify as white. Our goal is to design workforce and development initiatives to support that other 44% of millennials who identify as ethnically or culturally diverse. Now, this does not mean that our services cannot be, accessed for anybody who falls outside of that description, but we definitely want to make sure that we are providing tools and resources necessary for that particular demographic. Our goal is to create business solutions designed with things like systemic inequalities and challenges and barriers in mind, because we admire barrier breakers. We were honestly born out of barrier breakers, and we're inspired to continue that journey, breaking more ground with every stride. So I actually want to read a quick quote that I came across, let me see, I think it was earlier this week. I was reading a book by Oprah Winfrey called What I Know for Sure. And this quote really resonated with me as I prepared for this presentation to kind of give you an idea of where the name Blackground stems from. So the quote starts as, "I learned to rely on the strength I inherited from all those who came before me, the grandmothers, the sisters, aunts, uncles, and brothers who were tested with unimaginable hardships and still survived. I go alone and stand as 10,000. Maya Angelou said this in her poem, Our Grandmothers. She continues to say, "When I move through the world, I bring all my history with me. All the people who paved the way for me are part of who I am." And that's pretty much where the name Blackground came from. We acknowledge and understand the many people that kind of paved the way to help get us where we are right now, but we recognize that there's a lot more work to be done, and we're continuing to move along in that path. Just a reminder, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat. Let me make sure I look at that. All right. All right, so getting to our services. So we talked about the problem. Let's talk about the solution in our eyes. So we have a few different things that we focus on. One is career readiness. So this could be anything from interview and mock interview or preparing for a resume, just tailoring your resume and helping you really see the best version of yourself on paper. We talked about transition and reentry. That could be servicing people who are formerly incarcerated and re-entering society, or people who are in some type of transition, right? So we talked about that, what that looks like a little bit. Um, we're also focused on reskilling and upward mobility. So what that means is, take myself, for example, someone who worked in corporate America, got out of corporate America and kind of transitioned into the community work and engagement sector, kind of reskilling and preparing what that looks like, right? How do you take those skills from a corporate environment and transfer them to other spaces and make them just as valuable? That's one thing that we kind of coach and advise through. Tailored onboarding, acclimation, attraction, and retention. So I call those four out in particular because when you're hiring talent, it's not necessarily just about attracting that talent. It's not only about onboarding and retaining that talent, but you also have to help them acclimate. You have to help them kind of figure out what being in this new space kind of looks like and how to navigate that. And that's one of the things that we specialize in, and just preparing that planning. So one example would be, one of the Fortune 100 companies in the area was looking to recruit Black talent to relocate to Northwest Arkansas. When they went to that particular group, they were sharing, videos of mountain biking and, all of these images and kind of concepts that may not necessarily resonate with that particular group of people. So we specialize in helping you tailor your attraction and acclimation information and resources to the audience that you're trying to attract, particularly if they identify as people of color. And then we also have a focus on professional and leadership development. This could be in more of a one-on-one capacity or a group setting where we're coaching and advising teams or large organizations. Our next kind of service offering is more of a project management support. So this could be social media, creative direction, and content planning. This could be administrative and virtual assistance for current business owners. This could be one of the things that is our favorite, which is more of a networking events and activation plans. So that's more along the lines of planning the expo, planning different social events that will kind of talk more about what that looked like in the past, but that's kind of that space. Technical and copywriting, and then event photography, as I've kind of alluded to throughout the presentation. This here is another picture that I took during the Young Professional Summit. So just capturing young professionals in the moment is definitely something that I enjoy and I really like looking back at in that moment in time. And last but not least, we have what we call equitable business consulting. So I also kind of refer to this as more of a design. As we all know, the last 50 to 400 years of labor in this country has been, quite shaky, without saying anything in particular. But one thing that we focus on is kind of designing and redesigning those systems for more equality, more inclusion, and more kind of access and greater access for people that need those services. So corporate diversity, access, and inclusion consulting is a service that we provide to large and small organizations, benefits and financial advisory services to one-on-one groups. So, if you're trying to understand more about the benefits that you're being offered as a new hire and just kind of navigating that space, we are happy to advise there. And that kind of stems from my background as an accountant, but also just passion for financial literacy and helping people navigate that space. And then social and community investment. So that's more of trying to figure out how do we connect the work of social, community, and corporate responsibility together, right? So we advise on that. And one of the reasons why that is kind of more popular now, especially, considering this time last year where we saw so many protests happening about Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and even, now as the kind of conversation continues with George Floyd, so many organizations and companies were eager to, put up, millions and billions of dollars to kind of go towards racial equality and justice and all these things without really having a lens or an understanding of what these communities need. So one of the things that we are proud to focus on is investing in that social and community work that's taking place in a way that is really tailored towards the needs of a community. In addition to that, and last but not least, we do have a focus on providing culture, talent, and labor strategic services. So I came across an article recently that was just kind of talking about the importance of Black labor leaders and wanted to kind of be more a part of that work and that conversation. And then last but not least, kind of alluding to what this startup junkie and 1 million cup spaces is just being a champion for entrepreneurship and business development. So that kind of started when I ventured into my own entrepreneurial endeavors, but even with groups like the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, Lemonade Day, and just doing different things in the area that expose young people to entrepreneurship is definitely something that I'm passionate about. So overall, we're driven to close gaps in settings where talent is often attracted and recruited with little investment in their growth or their personal progress. And that's just kind of a little spiel about our services. If any questions or want me to dive more into that, feel free to add that to the chat. So a couple of testimony highlights. The event was perfect. Please do it again, but bigger. That was someone speaking to our expo event, our Black Business Expo that took place in 2021, back in February in celebration of Black History Month. This resume update has me ready to take on these new districts, something that we love to hear. Just, that moment when you get your resume back and you kind of see this version of yourself on paper, and that really just fuels your energy and your drive for the road ahead. Sierra is phenomenal at what she does and brings great energy to any gathering. That is very true, and I look forward to just adding more to my skill set and my toolbox over time. And then last but not least, testimony. This is probably one of my favorites because it really does speak to kind of the dedication and passion and in some cases delicacy that comes with navigating this type of space. So Sierra once brought to my attention a term I said that was unknowingly offensive. As I personally work to be more educated on how to best serve and celebrate diverse communities, thank you for your grace. Just a couple of testimonial highlights there. So let's talk more about the team and who we are. So as I said, I'm the founder. This is Robel Lackway here next to me in the picture. He is my advising partner, and he kind of has more of a financial background as well, financial and strategic planning background as well, but he's also more of a logistics guy, and we spend a lot of time just kind of bouncing different ideas and opportunities off towards each other. So overall, we aim to increase the representation of diverse talent in our country's ever-changing business industry. Those who seek to collaborate with us and work with us will allow us to build solutions in business that outlast one and empower all. That's our slogan, so to speak. And then overall, I think we would definitely just love to help existing organizations, both in Northwest Arkansas and in the Heartland in general, attract, connect, and retain top talent that's relocated and recruited to Northwest Arkansas. So definitely reach out to us if any of you have any questions or are really trying to close those gaps within your own businesses. So let's talk more about our work and what we've done in the past. So in the beginning of kind of our journey, I actually started Blackground in 2017 with a little bit of a rebrand in 2019. With that rebrand, we launched with the Melanin Magic Mixer. So what that was about 30 to 50 people or so gathering in one space to kind of celebrate all the people in the area, in Northwest Arkansas in particular, who identify as Black or Brown talent, who's doing something in the region to kind of move that conversation forward. So doing different impactful work in the area, somebody who's just starting a business or just really looking for opportunity to connect with other Black and Brown professionals. We kind of created that space to help each other just get connected and get more aware of each other. After that, we hosted the Big Pitch, or we helped Venture Noir and a few other people in the region bring together the big pitch. And what that was an opportunity for the Walton Family Foundation to award about $30,000 in small business funding to a group of entrepreneurs in the Heartland. So we were really excited to be able to bring that event to life and kind of be working behind the scenes. I also recently did a Milk and Money interview with the podcast Milk and Money. Shout out to my good friend Joanna, who is the host of that podcast and who was actually featured on Yahoo Finance with that podcast. So if you aren't familiar with Milk and Money, definitely check out our interview and go check it out if you're in the world of improving your financial house. After that, we have the Valentine's Day Love Music Lounge. This is something that was done in collaboration with Smooth Man Music Productions and the group here in Northwest Arkansas. Oh my goodness, the name escapes me right now. But they had a live music event with Rodney Block and Bijou in downtown Bentonville. And it was just a great time to get together for Valentine's Day and spread some love. We also are an active part of executing and bringing to life the Founder to Founder program hosted by Precipice IP. So huge shout out to Angela and everybody behind the scenes there for bringing us into the folds. As I've mentioned previously, we were one of the driving forces in addition to Jazzy J and WA and Black Owned in WA with the Black Owned Business Expo from 2020 as well as 2021. And last year, we also had the opportunity to kind of dive into this remote and virtual space with a Black Business and Beyond film series. So that began with a film preview and watching session with a group out of Little Rock called Just Communities of Arkansas, where we watched a film about Black Wall Street and kind of dived into that conversation about what it looks like to hopefully revitalize Black and Brown businesses in Black and Brown Wall Street in 2021. And then last but not least, we were also a part of capturing moments at the NWAC Community College African Culture Festival. So those are some of the pictures that you see within the slides as well. In total, we have serviced over 1,500 clients, and we have so much more in store. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to kind of talk to you guys about what we've done before we dive into what's next. So as the pandemic continues to impact us all, we will continue to use our network to support those in need of job aid, who are seeking college preparatory services and career support. Coming up soon, we have an opportunity to share with a group of students at University of Arkansas Central who are almost ready to graduate from college and are just they're almost ready to graduate from high school and they're preparing for college. So some of them are in kind of a youth development program that's affiliated with the university, and they are seeking to just get some insight from somebody that can kind of advise them on, okay, I'm about to graduate high school. What does it look like to prepare for college? How do I get mentally ready for that? And what does that process look like? So that's some of the work that we do in the college preparation space, and just general career support as well. One thing that we will continue providing as the pandemic continues to rage on is just remote presentation services similar to this, or limited social distancing in-person events. That is upon request, just to make sure that, myself and my team kind of stay safe within that space. But outside of that, a couple of things that are still on the horizon. We're hosting another Build a Business cohort. So what that is kind of helping people who have an idea of how to start a business or what kind of business they want to start, but aren't really sure on how to take it from idea to income. So we kind of help and give them step-by-step tools and resources on how to build their business. We have Social with Sierra on the horizon in collaboration with Precipice IP. That's just going to be an opportunity to kind of talk more about what's happening in the social space and kind of bring an intellectual property lens to it, if anything. We are definitely looking forward to bringing more diverse business market experiences. So the Black-owned Business Expo was just the beginning, and we're definitely looking forward to expanding that and to doing more with other demographics of businesses in Northwest Arkansas and outside of Northwest Arkansas. We started with the Black-owned business market, but we are in conversations with a few groups in the region about expanding that to the Latino business market and doing kind of a El Mercadito. Hopefully I said that right. Um, but just also continuing to plan for, more COVID-19 cautious pop-up events, whether that's outdoor or remote, and just kind of putting a lens to that. So if any of your organizations or groups would love to sponsor an event for your team, or sponsor an event that we're hosting for the community, feel free to reach out. We definitely look forward to doing our part to decrease the employment rate that continues to grow as we hopefully return to much safer business conditions and environments. A question from Morgan: is Blackground a nonprofit or an LLC? Great question. Blackground is an LLC. We are definitely in the business of making money because we have bills to pay. So we are definitely a for-profit entity, an LLC. But we do have a nonprofit leg where we may provide resume preparation services to people who were formerly incarcerated or people who are reentering society. We're still kind of developing the nonprofit leg to be able to expand some of those entrepreneurial offerings as well. So more to come on that. Thank you, Morgan. Great question. Long term, we hope to create more global connection points for working people and professionals to just get to a place where they feel like they're thriving in life. So many of my friends and family who work full-time jobs, especially in the pandemic, just always feel overwhelmed and stressed. And we are really just dedicated to creating more of a space to kind of heal some of that. This starts with shifting the culture of business and money making, and we do that by helping professional teams become healthier, more inclusive environments for the people that they serve. Ultimately, we would love to see Blackground expand into more of a physical environment by having a community hub or a physical hub, so to speak. So if any of you are in the real estate world and would love to help with bringing that to life, feel free to reach out. I think this is the last slide. So the last slide will have kind of my email, website, social media. This is a quick video that's on YouTube, and hopefully it'll play, but let's see. If it doesn't, okay. All right. So, in closing, our work is really just rooted in one of our myself and Robel, my co-partners, um, favorite people throughout history, Thurgood Marshall. We were recruited for an internship and for job opportunities through the Thurgood Marshall Leadership Institute, and Thurgood Marshall's impact has left such a standing memory on us that we really just hope to diversify more business systems in the way that he has. I know a lot of you who have children who are in that like 16, 17, 18-year-old window are looking at them like, I don't know how you're supposed to become a full adult when you turn 18 or 21, but one of the things that we love to do is just help kind of coach and advise them in that space. So if any of you are looking to help level up your students or the young people in your life, as you can see right over here, feel free to reach out to us, and we would love to help you do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank
There's kind of a few seconds lag between like us right here in this format and then as they see it. So I'm going to ask a question first to get the ball rolling.
you.
How are you marketing the firm to potential collaborators?
Great question. So we do a lot of promoting on our social media. Number one is just advertising all the time about our work and what we do and kind of the space that we're in. It's also more of a word of mouth strategy. So, more opportunities that we get like this to present and kind of talk about what we do is definitely something that we're open to. Depending on the event or whatever program is happening, we use different avenues to promote. So if it's something like the Black Business Expo where we want everybody to kind of know about it, we're promoting on radio, we're promoting on news channels, we're just getting just about as much airtime as we can to kind of let people know about it. If it's something that's a little bit more intimate, we do have email distributions that we're sending out, and we're working on a newsletter strategy as well. So the strategy there is definitely continuing to grow and improve, but it's definitely more of a word of mouth, grassroots kind of strategy right now, and just leveraging existing platforms to help us amplify the message.
Kirby has a question in the comment section. Do you help individuals create their own professional brand, for example, with several sources of income, side gigs, how to make it cohesive and work for you long term?
Absolutely. Great question. Hey, Kirby. So we do a lot of that, and that's kind of more of that entrepreneurial development piece that we were talking about. So before I had started this space, I also kind of navigated in that transition from taking my corporate skills and, turning them into skill sets for my own brand. So one of the things that we definitely do is just kind of advise and coach people through what that process looks like. So definitely feel free to reach out to me if there's any ways that I can help you with that path.
And I have another question in regards to, say, talent recruitment and retention. What are some of, I know this is national, but thinking more locally, what are some of the challenges with retention in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, and what are some of the ways in which the region kind of makes it easier?
Great question. Challenges, just yesterday I was on a Zoom call with the Care Coalition out of Little Rock that was focused on the state of Black Arkansas, excuse me. And one of the challenges that they kind of highlighted in that research was that Black and Brown talent in particular in Arkansas is seeming to kind of leave, basically. So there's a lot of people who are relocating to Dallas, relocating to all these more seemingly attractive communities outside of Arkansas and outside of Northwest Arkansas in general. And some people were really confused as to why that is. As a person of color in the state of Arkansas, I will say that it's not always fun here. It's kind of, you have to really make the fun. And one thing that we made an intentional effort to see is kind of be the change that we want to see. So if there are events and experiences that we want to have that aren't happening here right now, we're dedicated to bringing that to life, right? So that's what happens when we're making the expos happen. That's kind of the strategy behind Jazzy J and WA and that whole platform being created, because it wasn't there before. So really just kind of creating more spaces for people to have some connectivity, kind of find their tribe, and really have that community that they had before they relocated is one of the things that really just adds to a person's ability to find somewhere new as a home and kind of plant roots there, if anything. What was the second question? I'm sorry.
What are some of the ways the region, I guess, makes it easier?
So there's quite a bit happening in the region around trying to just bring more experiences and opportunities to the light. So with the momentary and crystal bridges and all these different things that are happening. One thing that I would love to see, and that I think we're gradually getting to a point of, is just having more community engagement and insight on what that looks like, right? So before all of these organizations decide, hey, we're going to spend 2 million on a campus that's just going to sit on this land, I would love to see more engagement from the community about the shaping of what that looks like, right? What kind of amenities and resources do we need to have here for the community? What kind of welcoming aspects will we need to put into this place to make people feel like they're allowed and encouraged to be here, right? So that's one of the things that I would love to see, and one of the things that we would love to advise through as more of that social and community engagement leg of our work.
Awesome. And I don't see any more questions in the comments at the moment. But as a 1 Million Cups alum, the conclusion question we always ask at 1 Million Cups is, what can we as a community do for you, Sierra?
Yes. I think overall, spreading the word, letting people know that we are out there. If you know someone who, is wanting a second opinion or a second set of eyes on their resume, feel free to send them our way. If an organization that is trying to kind of navigate the space of diversity and equity and inclusion and kind of working to make their organization more inclusive, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, because these inequities were not created overnight, right? So it's definitely going to take some intentional thought and effort and someone to really get in the weeds of things to figure out what that looks like. And we would love to be one of the leaders that comes to mind, particularly in Northwest Arkansas, when it comes to that work.
Awesome. And we'll drop in the comments after this your contact information again that was on the slide. Sierra, we appreciate you for joining us this morning and presenting, and wish you the best of luck on everything you're doing. Come back anytime. Thank you, everybody that's watching, that has watched, that will watch later. We appreciate you for tuning in to 1 Million Cups-Bentonville, and hope you'll join us next week.
Thank you. Bye, guys.